Buongiorno, everybody. It's Monday. It's a new week. So I'm just here to say buongiorno. Good day. Welcome to my kitchen, Dorina's Kitchen, where we are here to teach you things to help you bring yourself and your family and your friends to the table, which is where we should all be eating all the time. So tomorrow is Fat Tuesday. And so we just have today and tomorrow to kind of, as we say, kind of pig out a little bit before we are going to possibly give some things up and sacrifice some things over the next 40 days. So today we are going to make one more typical sweet that is something for Carnevale or Mardi Gras, as we say it here in the United States, or Carnival, as they say it in Brazil or wherever else. So the thing about these things, and you guys know, if you've been watching me for a while, I don't fry a whole lot. Every now and then, there's a few things that you gotta fry. But if you fry, you gotta do it right. So anyway, the other day we made the chiacchiere, the little chatty things, the little crispy, crunchy pieces of dough that are just fried in powdered sugar. Fried things are common for Carnevale because it's considered rich and fatty and decadent. So that's why a lot, if not most, of the treats for this time of year are fried. So forgive me, because I like to try to be healthy. But if in being healthy, you allow yourself an occasional treat, it's so much easier to stay good the rest of the time because you're not depriving yourself, just everything in moderation. Today we're going to make, well, this is typically a Sicilian thing, but it's also calabrese. So in calabrese, it would be Pignolata calabrese, or in Sicily they call them Strufoli. And I think more people know them as Strufoli, I think. They're the little teeny weeny round fried dough balls that you coat in honey, and you pile them in a dish and sprinkles all over them, and it's just so pretty, and they're yummy. And again, it's just one of those things that you stick on the table and it keeps you there because you sit there and you pick at it one little piece at a time. So I've got my oil heating up here. That's probably close to ready. So we're going to do this the kind of fun way. We're going to do it right on the board here. So I've got 300 grams of flour. This is about 2 cups. So we're going to start with this right here. And then we're going to make our little hole in the middle so the rest of the stuff doesn't fall out as we do it. What we're going to do, this is 100 grams of sugar. So we're putting this all just in here together. And this is just a little to work with. We're going to put in a little bit of vanilla. Now I'm going to use powdered vanilla today. So I'm just going to use like half a teaspoon of the powdered vanilla. This is pure vanilla, just powdered. Organic, pure, powdered vanilla. It has such a nice smell. Okay, and now we're going to add our wet things. So one of them is typical. We're going to put in 3 eggs. And then, as they do in Italy, a small glass of liquor. So this time, it's strega. If you don't have strega, you can use anything else. You can use wine. You can use, in Sicily, a lot of times the liquor they use is marsala. You could use a grappa. You could use it. But anyway, this one here is a typical calabrese recipe. So I'm doing this for my husband, Pasquale, because he's a calabrese. So I'm just going to put a small glass. And a small glass means not a whole glass. So what I'm going to do, you can do this with a fork. Oh my goodness. We're going to have some of that. It is Carnevale after all. I think from watching over the years, all my Italian cousins and grandmother and friends and everything, the fork is the preferred kitchen utensil, even for working, not like your big things. It's always just the little kitchen fork that they use. Everything is kind of done small and slow, even if they're cooking for 100 people, it's just, you know, now we're just going to mix it all in. The heck with the fork now. Just going to keep mixing it until enough of the flour actually mixes into all this wet that it makes a little dough. Now normally, remember this, that normally you would put this in the refrigerator after you're done mixing it for about a half an hour to let it rest and to kind of firm up a little. I'm just going to put a teaspoon of extra flour in, so maybe my eggs were big. You always have to kind of be prepared. You know, when you say you follow a recipe exactly and it doesn't come out the way you're watching somebody do it on a show or in the pictures in the book, you got to realize that no matter how perfectly you're trying to do something, my large egg might be bigger than your large egg, or you might only have medium eggs on hand, or so on and so forth. So you've got to always be prepared. In the end, it's just a matter of a little bit more wet or a little bit more dry. So, I mean, you know, you could put this in a bowl, you could put it somewhere to rest. I'm just going to let this rest long enough right now for me to wash my hands. But what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do them now because I want to show you. But just know they'll come out a little nicer because they'll be, you know, a little denser once you put it in the refrigerator. It'll, you know, a little firmer. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so now we have let our dough rest for half an hour. Let's move. Oh, look, there's a little teeny little drizzle of Strega in the bottom of this glass. Ooh, it's been a while. Okay, so we have our beautiful Strega dough here. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to break off a little bit. So we're just going to roll this out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you know, I just made it a little too dry, making it hard to, oops, a little wetness. I don't have any. There we go. Okay. So don't put too much flour. And then we're just going to take your cutter or whatever you're going to use, if you're going to use a knife, and just cut it into little teeny weeny pieces. Ta-da! All right, so I'm going to take all of these and I'm just going to very carefully drop them in the oil. They're making a nice, quiet little sizzle. And while those are going, I'm going to roll out some more. Some people I've seen will roll out the dough in kind of like a thick, and they cut them into little squares. I've seen that. I've never done it that way. You can do it just like that. I mean, these are kind of little squares. You could just do it just like this. Or, I mean, if you want to get really particular, you can roll them into little balls. But honestly, if you look here, actually I'm going to use my bigger strainer here, roll them over. By the time they poof up, look at how cute those are. They're like little balls anyway. So just try to make them uniform in size. That's what your more important thing is. And sometimes what I do is when my oil starts to get hot, I'll just turn it off for a couple minutes just to let it kind of temper down just a few degrees, and then I start all over. There was one more ingredient that went in these things that I forgot to mention. Usually you put in just like 2 tablespoons of melted butter, but I'm telling you, this is great anyway. So see, no matter what, you really can't mess things like this up. Because I'm going to tell you this. Even though this recipe calls for melted butter, I can guarantee you that most Italian recipes that are old and what do you call it, like historical and ancient and all that stuff, don't have butter in the recipe. A lot of times they use oil as their fat. Okay, so how many of you guys have honey in your cabinet that's gotten a little bit solid? Now, heating honey does take away some of its health properties. But just heating it a smidgen to make it melt, if it's gotten solid, is okay. So if you have a jar of honey that's gotten like hard and you can't, get the honey out, or you can't use it liquidy, put the jar in a little pot of water and then just put it on warm and let it kind of melt down. Okay, so this is what we do. All right, look at this. They're nice and dry. I'm going to put them in here because this is good to do while they're warm. So we're going to take some of this nice honey. We're just going to drizzle it over the whole thing. Maybe just a little more. Toss them around. So what we're going to do now that these are all nice and honeyed, make a nice little mountain here. Now we're just going to put a little bit of sprinkles on top to make them all nice and festive. And now we have a nice dish of Strufoli, or Pignolata, however you would like to say it. There's other names. There's so many dishes in Italy that is the same exact thing, all same or similar recipe, and they have different names because of the different dialects, the different regions, the different towns, the different families. Everybody calls things something different. But these are so good. They're so simple. If they're made right, they don't break your teeth. I will tell you though, that this is something you want to eat like that first day. Tomorrow, they're going to be kind of hard, but the thing is, they're so easy to make. These are the kind of things I encourage people to make whenever, because they're not hard to do. It's a little bit of oil. You can use a smaller pan, use a little bit of oil, and just make some of these as a celebration. These are common at Christmas. They're common at Carnevale, but they're also common. Somebody might make some for somebody's birthday or some other festival. So it's a lot of fun. And again, you put these on the table, and they keep you at the table. You know, we say dinner gets you to the table, but dessert keeps you there. But you put something like this there, you pick. You don't take a handful of them at once because they're sticky. You use 2 fingers, and you have a little bite. It's nice. They're not too sweet, but the little bit of honey adds the sweetness. It keeps you there because it's a picky food. Picky foods are awesome. So have a wonderful day. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dorina's Kitchen. Let's get back to the table, have some fun, and have some fun for Carnevale. Ciao, everybody.